In this next series of videos, we're going to take an in-depth look at X-Guard. Really made famous a lot by Marcelo. He does it very well. I'm a little bit bigger than him. I have a little bit more ability to stretch and lift than he does, mainly because I'm 6'3". So we're going to take a look at the X-Guard from my perspective, how I enter into it, and a couple of the more common things that I like to do. Today, we're going to look at the most basic sweep, roll over to knee on belly. So I've got Fred in open guard right here, and I'm going to make a little bit of thinking space. So that means I push him back. I am going to set one hook behind his knee. Anytime that I have one hook behind the knee is when I like to enter into X-Guard. I'm going to take my spare foot and it's going to come up here onto the hip, and I'm going to angle my body. Really, if I can get to here, I'm in good shape. Most of the time, I'm going to enter into X. For me, entering into X-Guard is all about this inside leg. A big mistake that people make is they come here and they try to come underneath. If this knee never clears around the back of the thigh, you don't have X-Guard. And lifting that leg over top of your leg is almost a little bit of a dream. So don't make the mistake of laying flat on your back. It's very important that when I start to enter into this space, that I turn my body onto my side and I get a scooping motion under here. Now, when I want to bring this leg up to my ear, it's important that I don't try to do it with my hand. I'm just going to raise my hand like I'm going to the front of the class, right? Call on me, call on me. From here, my hand is going to come just above the kneecap. I'm going to tuck my elbow. From here, basic X-Guard principles. I must challenge his base right away. There's a weird relationship between, a dynamic relationship between your bottom leg and your top leg. I compare this a lot to the clutch and the gas. There are two ways that we can challenge the base. Number one, we can lift. Takes his base up, right? Takes that back foot off the floor. I like that. I suggest that smaller guys use that if their opponent is tall and they can't stretch them. Or you can stretch. And you see that when I stretch, I lift away with that bottom leg and I'm putting a little bit of pressure up. Now from here, I am going to feed this hand right here, and I've already stretched him out. I'm going to take my spare thumb, and it's going to go thumb in the collar. Don't make the mistake of putting the four fingers in. You see how that bows my elbow? It will become uncomfortable during the sweep. My elbow might get in the way. I want my elbow in, my thumb in. From here, I am going to start to lift him up. You'll notice that because I'm holding this hand around the outside of that leg, that it's got a little bit of pressure on his shoulder. His back already wants to turn towards the floor. When I start to lift this leg off the floor, his body is going to naturally turn. If it doesn't naturally turn, that's where that thumb comes involved. We can lightly pull with it. Once he starts to turn and he falls over, I'm going to come all the way up to knee on belly. Look, I'm maintaining control of that grip. It gives me a really good solid foundation on the other side. I do have that foot posted all the way out, and that thumb, you can take it out of the collar, and I like to take it to the back right here. Good control, thinking space. Foot behind the knee. I'm powered up. I'm ready to go. Foot on the hip, angle, scoop to the front of the class, right? Hand here. This is my starting position. Number one thing, challenge their base. I challenge the base, I feed, thumb in the collar. Lifting, look, he already starts to turn all the way up. It looks a lot better, and it is a lot easier to do when you go nice and fast with that turn. Encourage your partner to put their hand on the floor. Don't encourage your opponent, don't warn them, but partners, we want their face in working order. So make sure that they know that they're about to turn and that they should put their hand on the floor. Control, thinking space. Foot behind the knee, on the top. Look, I'm powered up. I use that at the same time to turn my body right here. Underneath to the front of the class. Control, stretch, turn, all the way up on top. Control, thinking space. Foot behind the knee, challenges base. Look at how I turn, scoop to the front of the class. Control, stretch, feed, thumb in the collar. Stretch, now watch. He goes all the way over. Look, I keep that lifting motion all the way up on top. Control, thinking space. Foot behind the knee. Scoop to the front of the class. Stretch, hand to the knee, stretch, control, thumb in. Lifting. Now watch. See how it turns? All the way up. I am keeping active pressure up with that shin because I'm going slow. When you go fast, when you put a little bit of pressure up and he starts to turn, they're going to turn quickly. You're not going to have to force hold them so that you can see what's going on. They're gonna turn right over. If you need to, that thumb that's on the collar, pull it towards the floor, they'll go at warp speed. High percentage, a little bit of grip switching. I understand that most of you might have problems with that. There are a lot of other options when they start to defend.